You've heard of the idea of batching your time, but what does that mean practically? Somebody reached out to me in one of the comments and asked, Bennett, would you mind making a video just on how somebody can actually practically batch their time? So today I'm going to be discussing what it is that you need to know about batching your time and give you a bunch of different examples and some frameworks that you can start to implement in your own schedule to make sure that you can be as efficient as possible. So the first thing we need to understand is what is batching in the first place? And it's one of those things that a lot of productivity gurus speak about, because what we're essentially doing is we're taking different tasks that we might be doing throughout our weeks, throughout our months, and we're consolidating them to a certain time in order to just be more efficient with our time. And what's interesting about batching is that we have the ability to take certain things that we're doing regardless, and we start to shave off certain time, either at the beginning or the end of doing those activities, in order to be able to just consolidate them to do them at one time. So although that one time you are taking the action might be a little bit longer, in the long run, it's going to be a little bit shorter. I'm going to share some examples with you. And one of the benefits of batching your time is that it's going to give you more time to do more things. And you don't want to fall into the productivity trap where you're always trying to be productive and you're never giving yourself some downtime. But for people who are doing so much in their businesses or in their lives, you need to be able to find time to do certain tasks. So whether it's your email marketing, whether it's your videos you have to start to create, or whether it's just your dishes or your laundry, batching your time can be something that could just give you more time and more flexibility in order to just be more productive. So let me give you an example. So whenever I create a YouTube video, there are certain things I need to be doing. I have to set up the place where I'm going to record. I have to set up my camera, set up my mic, set up my lights. I have to write the notes that I want to be using in order to be able to speak about the topics that I want to talk about. And then I want to be able to do the editing as well as the posting and doing the whole thing along the way. However, if I would take each one of those individual steps and have to sit down and really make sure that everything's getting done at different times, it wouldn't be the most practical. So what I try to do is I try to batch things in different categories. So for me personally, there's a time where I do my scripting. So I'll sit down and I'll try to script out or really write more bullet points out for 2 to 3 videos to really give myself an advantage where I'm really sitting down and focus on creating and really just getting my ideas out there. And then when it comes to the recording, it usually do it at a different time. But what happens is that I'll record 2 to 3 videos at a sitting. And the reason why I do that is because I don't want to have to get set up and then take things down so many times. And yeah, maybe it'll only be saving me 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes each time I record. But if you think about it, if I want to create 3 videos and I'm saving myself 40 to 60 minutes just by the setup, that could be a lot of time that I'm looking to save. And in the beginning, I honestly didn't know how long it would take me to set up, to record and do all these things. But over time, I see what it is that I can start to do in order to just prepare myself so I could just be more efficient. Another good example you could think about is just your dishwasher. If somebody has a dishwasher, so what we're doing is we're being more efficient by cleaning all of our dishes at once as opposed to each of them individually. And what's cool about that also is that you're able to do it at a certain time that maybe wouldn't be working. So maybe you're going to start to run the dishwasher right before you go to sleep. So in the morning, everything is going to be clean. So that is the basic idea of batching. So how are we supposed to figure out what it is we're supposed to batch, and how do we start to practically batch ourselves? So the first thing we need to start to recognize is that we need to start being very curious about our schedule. What are those sittings throughout our days that maybe are very similar to other things? And if we can start to recognize, hey, how can I put those things together? Then you know what, maybe I'll be able to be a little bit more productive. But what's interesting is that not everything can be batched. You see, let's say you know that you're supposed to have 3 meals a day, but if you eat all 3 meals in the beginning of the day, you're really not spreading it out and you're going to be starving at the end of the day. So we need to ask ourselves, what is something practically that I am doing that I can start to do together with other tasks in order to be more efficient? This is something that came up for me personally when it came to my email marketing. You see, when I wanted to do my email marketing, instead of doing 1 email a day, I decided let me do a handful of emails a day so that I could start to really move forward. And the more I do it, the more I see that I can start to be more productive in different ways. So whether that's figuring out which pictures I want to use in my emails, or whether that's really just getting all the text at one point, but making sure that I'm batching my time so I'm really focused on one thing. And what's also interesting about batching our time is that once we are focused on something, it's easier to stay focused in that specific lane. So if we're gonna have to start to switch to something else, it could be extremely distracting, and it can be really hard for us to get into it. And we're not talking about one thing, but if you're going from item to item to item to item, it could be really tough in order to just keep bouncing along. And then if you have to just keep doing the same cycle again and again, it could be really tiring. The second thing you want to make sure when you are batching is you want to have a specific time to do your batching. So for me personally, I have one night a week where I make my videos. That is a time where I dedicated in order to allow myself to be able to make the videos that I want, and I know that I'm going to be doing it during that time. So everything that I need beforehand, I need to set up and really make sure is ready to go, just so I could be as productive as possible. So once you have those things that you're looking to really batch, make sure you set a specific time for them in order to be able to set yourself up for success. The third thing you need to consider is, what are you really trading? Meaning, when you are starting to batch, you are really sacrificing on something else. And sometimes it's worth it, and sometimes it might not be worth it. For example, when I was a kid, my mom used to come home from the supermarket, so I used to really like to show off and try to bring in all the bags at one time. And what was interesting is that although my hands were crumpled from plastic bags coming in, it actually took me a lot longer to bring in all the bags, and it was a lot harder for me to bring in all the bags if I tried doing it at once. However, if I would have done it more efficiently, maybe done 2 or 3 trips, what would have happened is yeah, I might have made more trips, but at the end of the day, it might have taken me a shorter time and it wouldn't have been as difficult. So ask yourself, although you're batching your time, sometimes it's really not practical to batch your time, because you know what? It just might not be as efficient as you think it is. But don't judge yourself. You have to really understand what is going on, how it is you're going to work, and just get curious about what it is you're doing. And the last and final tip when it comes to batching your time is that you need to be consistent. One of the biggest things I think with any type of productivity is you need to be consistent. So if you start to get yourself batching in certain areas of your life, make sure that you stay committed to those specific tasks in order to just allow yourself to be able to move forward and really take the actions that it's really necessary. And if there's certain areas of your life that you really haven't been able to see so much success, make sure to take a look at this next video where we talk about how to win in life.